bishop. In fact, in a few days I'll celebrate my second anniversary here as auxiliary bishop in San Antonio. April 20th I was ordained. And I came from the Diocese of Victoria, where I was a priest for 33 years. And so next May, and this coming next month, I will be ordained for 35 years. So I grew up in a small town. My parents, both of them grew up on farms, and so my grandparents had farms. And I'm very attuned to my Czech culture. And so I'm open to other cultures, and I find it fascinating to be in San Antonio, which has so many different cultures and so many different languages. Beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful archdiocese, and I've really enjoyed being here for the last 2 years. I studied here when I was a seminarian, so I'm somewhat familiar in the 80s with San Antonio. Grown a lot since then, but Assumption Seminary is very dear to my heart. And so this is really, in some ways, it's kind of coming back home. I'm one of those lifers, I always like to say. I don't remember a time in which I didn't think about being a priest. I was always fascinated since I was a little boy. I'm probably 4 years old. My mom said I would speak about being a priest. I thought about other things, certainly in high school, but it always went back to priesthood. And when I was at the University of Texas in Austin, that was my dream school. I wanted to go there, and I thought, this is great. I'm leaving the little small town. I'm gonna live in a big city. And went back to the whole idea of seminary, the whole idea of priesthood. And so I ended up finishing the semester or two there, and then I went to the seminary. So I've always wanted to be a priest. It has been a lot, probably a lot more different than I've ever even imagined. You know, when you're a priest in a small diocese like Victoria, where I come from, you wear lots of hats. And so I worked with our bishop very closely and the bishop before him, and I did some chancellery work, and I served as chancellor and eventually as vicar general, but I was always a parish priest. And in so many respects, I will always be a parish priest. And the way I approach ministry, the way I approach now being a bishop, I always think about what is it like being a parish priest? How is that going to affect our parishes? How is it going to affect our priests? And so my perspective always comes from, even as a bishop, as a parish priest. But it's been challenging, beautiful. I've enjoyed the travels. I've enjoyed meeting the people of the Archdiocese of San Antonio, beautiful people, strong faith, the wonderful churches, the parishes that we have, missions. But it has been an adjustment for me in many ways. A lot more administration. I miss that everyday kind of contact with parishioners that I could see at daily mass and have the funerals and baptize their children and grandchildren and witness marriages, etc. But I'm making the adjustment with God's help. He's helped me a lot to try to understand more and more what is the need here for the Archdiocese in my life as a bishop, wanting to serve them. The seminarians and working in the vocation office keeps me grounded. So I live at the seminary in an apartment there. I get to have meals with them. I get to see them around and walking around the campus, and we visit. It has been wonderful to have that role because it's not administration as much as it is connection. So what I miss as being a parish priest, the seminarians provide that sense of community for me. So they have been a blessing. I have felt blessed serving as director of seminarians and being Vocations Director for the Archdiocese. And so it's a true privilege and honor for me. I guess I think about the need that we have for priests. And if there's anything that keeps me up at night, it's one of the things that it does, and that is, are we going to have enough priests to not just staff, but to shepherd, to pastor our beautiful, beautiful parish communities? And so I'm always concerned about that. It can never be a numbers game, though. It means that we always have to have quality men that we entrust the office of priesthood to. And before we send them out to the parishes of the Archdiocese, we want to make sure that they're formed and that they're solid in body, mind, and spirit. And so I'm always concerned. One of the drawbacks being a vocation director is I'm often asked the question by my brother priests, how many new seminarians do we have? And every vocation director will tell you this. I had this role when I was a young priest in the Diocese of Victoria in the 1990s. That's always the question. How many new priests? How many are going to be ordained? How many new seminarians? And so that's probably one of the most challenging things. What's positive, of course, is meeting all these wonderful men that we have in the seminary now. And what I pray will be in the future, that as these men that I'm meeting, discerning, going through that process with, accompanying, if they make that decision through God's grace to enter the seminary, I believe we are going to have some wonderful, strong pastoral leaders for our parishes in the Archdiocese. And so that's positive. I get to meet incredible people, incredible young people. I was at the college the other day at one of the universities here in the city, and having all of those young people around and listening to them and their stories and their faith and their excitement about their relationship with Jesus Christ. That excites me, that energizes me. And I'm always grateful when I drive off back home to my apartment from those different events. I always say, thank you, God. Thank you for letting me be the vocation director again. So many men, more than we can even imagine, really are being called to priesthood today. And they may not make that known to their friends or to even their family. They're not, putting that on social media, but they certainly have that in their heart. They're thinking about it, they're pondering, they call the vocation office, they schedule meetings with me, they come to our events, and they're searching. And many of them aren't afraid of that. They're not afraid of that search. They take to heart what Jesus has said. Do not be afraid. So it has been and continues to be an honor and a privilege for me to accompany them. I think there's great potential that we have in the Archdiocese, and I know Jesus, through His Spirit, will give us the priests that we need. I was a pitcher last year, and the priests were winning. We're beating those seminarians, and they came back from behind and they beat us. But here's the secret, so we want to make sure that don't tell the seminarians, but there's some priests that volunteered to play that didn't play last year, and I have great confidence that they're going to be really good on our team. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Vanilla. Dogs. Tea. Summer. Books. Oh, it has to be flower. Morning person, but to the extreme. No way does it belong on pizza. No pineapple. I love small towns. I'm glad to be here, San Antonio, but I love small towns. Oh, priest. Priest. A lot less administration. We all know that we need priests. All Catholics in this Archdiocese want strong leaders. They want priests that are holy men. They want them healthy. They want them interactive and to accompany them on their journey of faith, which includes struggles of life. And so people will give to the Archbishop's appeal to support vocations, perhaps if for no other reason. And if there are other agenda items, or to say, well, I don't know if I want to give, I always say, then do you want priests? Because we have to have the funding in order to maintain the seminary, to maintain, of course, a strong vocation office, so that we can continue to invite young men to consider the priesthood. So I know the generosity of San Antonio. I know the faithful of this Archdiocese, and they will continue to support the Archbishop's appeal, because I know they want good, holy men as pastors, as priests in their parishes.